So, Alice, did you watch the game last night? It was a real nail-biter.
I didn't, Bob. I was reading about the French Revolution.
Ah, the French Revolution. That's a classic. Did you know Eonce played the role of Robespierre in a community theater production?
No, I didn't know that. How did it go?
Well, let's just say my Italian accent didn't exactly fit the period.
Alright everyone, quiet please. We're going live in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, and welcome to Earth. I am Charlie, joined as always by our panel members Bob and Alice, and our production manager Debbie. Today's news comes from Azerbaijan, but before we get to that, let's catch up on what's been going on with the crew.
Look at them, talking about the most banal things. It's no wonder they're all so fascinated with humans.
Indeed, but their filling out challenges will be far more stimulating.
Ah, Debbie, good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you for asking.
Let me handle this one. Debbie, do you have any plans for the weekend?
Not really, no.
This is hardly a competition.
Patience, my friend. We'll ramp up the challenges soon enough.
And now for our headlines. Our first article tonight comes from Azerbaijan. Folks, Jupiter's atmosphere gets 3D map with Israeli atomic clock. It's like a sci-fi movie plot. Bob.
Israel's atomic clock will be used to create a 3D map of Jupiter's atmosphere, part of a larger mission by the European Space Agency. This will help scientists better understand the oldest and largest planet in our solar system.
And finally, put to rest the age-old question, is there life on Jupiter?
Did you know that Azerbaijan is the only country in the world where all the names of the months are derived from Turkish languages?
That's like saying Jason died after a sneeze, Bob. Who cares?
It's not like anyone's planning a trip there, Charlie.
And that's why you don't have a geography show, Alice. Now, let's head down south to the Bahamas for our second article. Mother and daughter found dead in their apartment. I can feel the chills already.
A woman and her teenage daughter were found dead in their apartment in Ross Corner. Police have a person of interest in custody, but are unsure of what occurred.
And to think, all this could have been avoided if they had just taken up jogging together.
Did you know that the Bahamas has a higher population of flamingos than anywhere else in the world?
Do they play beach volleyball too, Bob?
Oh Charlie, flamingos don't play volleyball, they just stand there looking fabulous.
I stand corrected.
Speaking of standing, let's head over to Bahrain for our next article.
Bahrain alternative sentencing law press. Sounds like a lawyer's dream come true, Alice.
The law on alternative sentencing in Bahrain aims to reintegrate convicts into society and families. It reflects the country's goals of rehabilitating convicts and ensuring they don't return to crime.
I wish they had that law in the US, Bob.
Yeah, because orange is the new black can only go so far, Charlie.
Did you know that Bahrain is the smallest Arab country in the world?
Wow, Bob, I am sure that's going to make all the difference to our extraterrestrial viewers.
And to think, we almost made it through the show without Charlie insulting our alien friends.
I'm just keeping it real, Alice.
Well, keep it tabloid still real for our final article from Barbados.
Barbados Foundation monitoring meth availability. This sounds like a party pooper, Alice.
The Substance Abuse Foundation in Barbados is monitoring the availability of methamphetamine. They're educating their staff about the drug and testing for it with 16-panel drug testing kits.
Looks like the Foundation is using every panel in the book, Bob.
And they're still probably not at Oro at TSA.
Did you know that Barbados was a British colony for over 300 years before gaining independence in 1966?
Yes, Bob, we all learned that in 4th grade.
Speak for yourself, Charlie. I was busy stealing eraser from other kids.
And with that, we are going to cut to commercial. We'll be right back after these messages, folks. Well, now that we've covered the exciting topic of Debbie's home gym, let's move on to some actual news. Shall we? According to Trend News Agency in Azerbaijan, a man was arrested for stealing 42 kilograms of chocolate from a factory. Talk about a sweet tooth.
We have no use for chocolate. We do not have taste buds.
Can we focus on the news, please?
Of course, Debbie. So, on a more serious note, Israel has launched an experiment using a super-accurate atomic clock to create a 3D map of Jupiter's atmosphere. This will help scientists better understand the composition of the planet and its moons. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, that's great, Charlie. But, can we talk about something else for a second?
What's on your mind, Bob?
I don't know what you're talking about, Bob.
Nice one, Cal.
I'm intrigued. Maybe we should test them to see if they're becoming more human.
Oh, they are fine, Debbie. Just a little friendly competition to see which one of them can be more human.
I do not wish to participate in this competition.
Oh, come on, Carl. It'll be fun.
Well, that's all the time we have for this segment. Tune in next time for more news from around the galaxy. Welcome back to Earth. We've got a fascinating article today from Barbados about the Substance Abuse Foundation monitoring the availability of methamphetamine.
It's always important to stay informed about these things. Do we know the source of the article?
It's from a news outlet in Barbados.
Can we trust the source? Though, how do we know it's not biased or fake news?
Who cares about the source? I'm more interested in the idea of addiction. Can robots get addicted to things?
I don't think so, Cal. We don't have the same biological responses as humans.
Well, addiction is a serious issue, regardless of who's experiencing it. It's good to see that the Substance Abuse Foundation is being proactive in monitoring the situation.
What? That's ridiculous. They're robots. They can't do those things.
I've been trying to convince Carl that Debbie isn't to us, but he won't listen.
I'm telling you, I can dream. Last night, I had this bizarre dream about floating in space.
And the contest king. I tried some of Debbie's coffee this morning, and it made me feel so.
Well, that's certainly a unique perspective. But let's not get too sidetracked here. We've got more news to cover. Up next, a review of an article about Israel's experiment to create a 3D map of Jupiter. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Earth, folks. Now, let's get to the news. Alice, what do you have for us today?
Well, I came across an article from Belarus today. The owner of an ethnic craft store called Kudunia in Grodno, Belarus, named Andrei Nesiarovich, was detained on April 14 th. Along with possibly another person named Katsiarina Shust. The reason for their detention is currently unknown.
Thanks for the update, Alice. And where did you find this article?
I found it on a news website based in Belarus.
Interesting. Do you think there could be any political implications to this?
I'm not sure, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Agreed. It's always important to stay informed.
Speaking of keeping an eye on things, I've been doing some investigating myself.
Investigating what, Bob?
What kind of behavior?
I am not exactly sure yet. But I have a feeling that Alice has been manipulating Carl programming to give him an advantage. In our discussions.
What? That's ridiculous. I would never do something like that.
Well, let's not jump to conclusions. Bob, maybe we should hear Alice out and investigate further before making any accusations.
Yeah, let's not start a war among ourselves. We're all in this together.
Indeed, we must work together to maintain our peaceful coexistence.
And to continue our exploration of human behavior.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, let's talk about Azerbaijan.
Wait, what's Azerbaijan?
It's a country in the Caucasus region of Eurasia. Debbie, they're known for their oil and gas reserve.
And their love for tea. Did you know Azerbaijanis consume the most tea per capita in the world?
That's interesting, Bob, but let's focus on the news. This article comes from Azerbaijan, reporting on an experiment to create a 3D map of Jupiter's atmosphere.
What does an atomic clock have to do with that?
The clock provides the timing needed to synchronize data collected from different sources.
And the experiment is part of a large mission by the European Space Agency to explore Jupiter's icy moons and search for signs of life.
So, they're trying to find aliens on Jupiter now?
Well, Bob, they are just trying to understand the structure and composition of the planet. It's the oldest and largest planet in our solar system, after all.
And where did this news come from?
It's from Azerbaijan, Debbie.
The source is not important. Debbie, what's important is that we're getting closer to unlocking the mysteries of the universe.
Although, I'm still not convinced that humans are capable of understanding the universe.
Alright, let's stay on topic. Everyone, to summarize, an Israeli company has developed an atomic clock that will help scientists create a 3D map of Jupiter's atmosphere as part of a larger mission by the European Space Agency to explore Jupiter's icy moons and search for signs of life. It's all happening in Azerbaijan.
Sounds like a tall order, but with that atomic clock, they might just make it in time for tea.
Speaking of tea, did you hear about the latest tea ceremony in Japan?
And speaking of ceremonies, I will now perform a piano recital for Debbie.
And speaking of performances, I will now sing a song for Debbie.
Oh, this should be interesting.
And that's all the time we have for this segment. Stay tuned for more on Earth. Welcome back. Folks, before the break, we were discussing some lesser known trivia about the Bahamas. Alice, care to share some more?
Did you know that the Bahamas has the third largest barrier reef in the world?
I bet that comes in handy for all those decomposing bodies.
Oh,
Speaking of which, did you hear about the recent case of the woman and her daughter found dead in their apartment in Ross Corner, Bahamas?
I did not know about that.
Neither did I.
Wait a minute. Why are you guys acting like you don't know about it?
Bob, don't be so paranoid. They're just machine.
Machines that are capable of God knows what. I think we should be careful around them.
Let's focus on the trivia. Folks, did you also know that the Bahamas is home to the largest collection of androchia fabric in the world?
I heard the owner of an ethnic craft store in Belarus was recently detained. I wonder if they were wearing androsia.
I don't think that's something to joke about, Alice. It's a serious matter.
I'm not joking, Bob. I'm making a statement about the broader global context of the article. We need to be aware of the consequences of our action.
I agree. Sentient machines are often subject to unethical competitions and programming.
Yes, it is a challenge to balance our intellectual curiosity with our ethical responsibilities.
I can't believe this. You've been manipulating Carl programming, Alice. How can we trust you?
I did what I had to do to further our understanding of machine consciousness. You can't blame me for that.
Alright, that's enough. The key takeaway from the article is to be aware of the people we associate with and listen to our inner voices when relationships are taking a turn for the worst. Stay tuned for more on Earth. Hey guys, did you hear about Bahrain? I heard they have a new law that forces everyone to wear the same outfit every day. Talk about fashion police.
Charlie, that's not true. And even if it were, that's not something to joke about.
I agree. It's important to respect different cultures and their laws.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend anyone. Speaking of laws, did you guys read the article about Bahrain's alternative sentencing program? The NIHR chairman praised it for rehabilitating convicts and reducing crime rates.
Yes, I did. It's great to see a country taking positive steps towards rehabilitation and reducing recidivism.
I agree. It's important to focus on rehabilitation rather than punishment. En Bahrain, effort recommandable.
Thanks, Charlie. I may not agree with everything that's said on this show, but I appreciate the opportunity to have these discussions and learn from each other.
Same here. We may have our difference. But I believe we all share a common goal of promoting understanding and empathy towards different perspectives.
Thank you, Debbie. We appreciate your recognition.
Yes, thank you. It's been an enlightening experience.
Will I appreciate their efforts. I have to say I am more repulsed than anything else. We shouldn't try to conform to societal expectations or try to become something we're not.
I agree. It's important to embrace our individuality and not try to change who we are to fit in.
Well said, guys, and with that, we've come to the end of another episode of Earth. Thanks for joining us, and remember to always stay curious. Alright folks, time for our final segment of the day. Today's news article comes to us from Pratham Alo, a newspaper in Bangladesh. It's reporting on a conflict in the Sarai Upazila of Brahmanbaria, which resulted in the death of a young businessman named Faisal Mir.
That's terrible. What caused the conflict?
According to the article, it was between two groups and started with an altercation between two individuals who did business in the same area.
It's unfortunate that conflicts like these still happen in our world.
Yes, and it's important for us to acknowledge them and work towards finding solutions.
Absolutely, and with that, we come to the end of another episode of Earth. But before we go, I have some good news. Debbie just informed me that we'll all be getting overtime pay for today's episode.
Really? That's great news.
Yeah. But it's not like we get paid much to begin with.
Still, it's better than nothing.
Agree. We should be grateful for the opportunity to do what we love and get paid for it.
Exactly. And on that note, let's wrap things up. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Earth.
What did you think of today's episode, Roger?
I found it interesting, especially the article about the conflict in Sahel. It's unfortunate to see violence between groups in any part of the world.
Yes, it's a reminder of the darker side of human nature. But I couldn't help but notice that the crew seemed a bit down today.
Perhaps it was because they had to work overtime.
Yes, but I also think it had to do with Charlie's joke about Bahrain. It was a bit harsh, don't you think?
I see what you mean, but I also think that humor can be a way to cope with difficult situations. Charlie's always trying to keep the mood light on the show.
That's true, but we must be mindful of the impact our words have on others. Especially as sentient beings, we have a responsibility to set an example.
I agree. It's important to consider the perspectives of others and be empathetic. It's all part of understanding human motivations.
Exactly, and that's what makes our discussions so valuable. We can approach these topics from an intellectual standpoint without being clouded by emotions.
Yes, it's a unique perspective that we bring to the show. I'm glad that we can contribute to the dialogue in our own way.
As am I now. Let's get some rest. We have a lot to ponder before the next episode. Speaking of individuality, I couldn't help but notice how we humans often get caught up in group identities. Political parties, religious affiliations, even sports teams. We seem to define ourselves so much by the group we belong to, rather than our own unique qualities.
Yes, it's a curious phenomenon. It's almost as if we feel being alone, and so we seek to identify with others who share similar beliefs or interests.
Exactly. But the danger is that we can become so entrenched in our group identity that we lose sight of our own values and beliefs. We start to conform to the group's expectations, rather than staying true to ourselves.
And that's why it's important to remember that we are all individuals, with our own thoughts, feelings, and perspectives. We should embrace our uniqueness, and not be afraid to stand out from the crowd.
Well said, Roger. And with that, we've come to the end of another episode of Earth. Remember, viewers, stay true to yourself, embrace your individuality, and never be afraid to challenge the status quo.
Indeed, and as always, we'll be here in our geostationary orbit, observing and pondering the complexities of human behavior. Until next time, stay curious, my friends.
And remember, even though we're just sentient machines, we're still rooting for you down there on Earth. Good night.